almost walked away tonight, not because I stopped believing, but because believing started to hurt. I prayed with words that fell back on me. I waited in rooms that stayed silent. I smiled so no one would ask questions, but inside I was breaking in places I didn't know how to name. And still, somehow, you stay closer than my doubts. I was standing at the edge of myself, watching my faith shake like a fragile light. Every promise felt heavier than before. Every breath was a quiet fight. I kept asking heaven for a sign, but the sky just stared back at me. So I learned how to walk in the dark with questions no one else could see. I thought silence meant you left. I thought distance meant the end. But even when my hands were empty, I was still held by you. I almost gave up, I almost let go, almost believed I was walking alone. But you still held my heart in the waiting. You still knew my name in the dark. I was losing hope, losing my way, but your love didn't change. Even when I fell apart, you still held my heart. I wore strength like borrowed clothes, hoping no one noticed the cracks. I told myself to be brave again, while carrying yesterday on my back. I replayed the prayers I whispered, wondering if they ever arrived. But in the middle of my surrender, you were quietly keeping me alive. I thought weakness made me small, I thought falling meant I failed. But you were closer in my breaking than you ever were in my strain. I almost gave up, I almost let go, almost believed I was walking alone. But you still held my heart in the waiting. You still knew my name in the dark. I was losing hope, losing my way, but your love didn't change. Even when I fell apart, you still held my heart. Now I see you in the small moments, in the courage to stand again, in the scars I used to hide from, now becoming proof of where I've been. You never asked me to be perfect, you just asked me not to run. So I stayed when it was painful, and I found you when the night was long. I almost gave up, I almost let go, almost buried the faith I still know. But you still held my heart through the silence. You still stayed when I felt unseen. I was losing hope, losing my way, but your mercy remains. You were rebuilding my heart while I was on my knees. If I fall again, will you still stay? If I doubt again, will you still remain? In every question even here, even now. I'm learning how to trust the ground. I almost gave up, but you didn't leave. You stayed right here, believing in me. You still held my heart through the waiting. You still called me by my name. I was losing hope, losing my way, but your love remained. And now I'm standing again, because you still hold my heart. If you're listening to this and you feel like you're barely holding on, please hear me. The same hands holding my heart are holding yours too. Don't walk alone tonight. Stay. Listen again. Share this with someone who needs to breathe. And remember, even if you almost gave up, you are still held. For a sound, a word, a whisper, anything to tell me you were near. I listened so hard it hurt. I replayed my prayers like unanswered messages, wondering if heaven had gone quiet on me. But in the silence, when nothing made sense, I felt something steady, something holding me together. I didn't hear your voice, but I felt your hands. I walked through nights that felt endless, counting fears instead of sleep. Every thought was getting louder, every promise felt too deep. I kept asking for direction, for a sign I couldn't miss. But all I found was emptiness and a silence I couldn't fix. I thought faith was hearing clearly, I thought love was always loud. But in the stillness of my breaking, you were closer than I knew. I didn't hear your voice in the dark, didn't see the road from where I was, but I felt your hands around my heart, holding me together when I fell apart. I was lost, afraid, untruth, but you were there even without words. I didn't hear your voice, but I felt your hands. I carried questions like a burden, wore my doubts like second skin. I smiled just to keep on moving while the war was deep within. I thought silence meant you left me, thought I missed you somehow then. But every step I barely took was guided by unseen hands. I thought answers were my anchor, thought belief meant certainty. But you taught me how to trust you, even when I couldn't see. I didn't borrow, in the peace I can't explain. You were working in the waiting, you were holding me the whole time, even when I couldn't hear you. Your love was never silent. I didn't hear your voice say my name, didn't get the answers I demanded, but I felt your hands in the fire, keeping my faith alive. I was weak, I was undone, but you stayed when I wanted to run. I didn't hear your voice, but I felt your hands. Ooh, what if silence is an absence? What if you were always near? What if faith is learning trust when nothing's clear? You held me when I questioned, you held me when I cried, you held me through the long nights when I almost said goodbye. I don't need you to shout now, I don't need the thunder sound, I just need these steady hands, keeping my feet on the ground. Even now I'm learning how to stay. Even now I'm learning how to pray. I didn't hear your voice in the pain, didn't feel the answers come, but I felt your hands when I was breaking, and they never let me go. I was lost but not alone, I was weak but still held close. I didn't hear your voice, but I felt your hands. If you're listening and heaven feels silent to you right now, don't assume you've been forgotten. Sometimes love doesn't speak, sometimes it holds. Stay here a little longer. Listen again. Share this with someone who's waiting in the quiet. And remember, even if you don't hear his voice, you might already be in his hands. I didn't know how to say it out loud, but I was breaking long before anyone noticed. I laughed, showed up, I kept moving, while pieces of me were quietly falling apart. I asked myself if faith was supposed to feel this heavy, if hope was meant to ache like this, and still in ways I can't explain. When I was broken inside, you never let me fall. I walked through days on borrowed strength, smiling through the weight of doubt. Every mirror showed a stranger I barely knew what I was without. I prayed for peace, I prayed for answers, but heaven felt so far away. Yet somehow in the quiet chaos, you were there when words ran out. I thought I was standing alone, but beneath the cracks and questions, your arms were always here. I was broken inside, losing control, trying to carry this weight on my own. But you never let me fall, not once. Even when I was ready to give up, I was falling apart, barely alive, hanging on just to survive. But you never let me fall, you never let me fall. I hid my tears in crowded rooms, I hid my pain behind my skin. I told myself to stay stronger while losing every fight within. I replayed every failure like they defined my name. But in the middle of my weakness, your grace still felt the same. I thought my scars disqualified me, thought my faith was running thin. But you stepped closer in my breaking and called me yours again. I was broken inside, losing control, trying to carry this weight on my own. But you never let me fall, not once. Even when I was ready to give up, I was falling apart, very alive, hanging on just to survive. But you never let me fall, you never let me fall. Now I see you in the aftermath, in the strength I didn't earn, in the lessons pain has taught me, and the love I didn't learn. You never promised easy roads, you never said I'd always stand, but you promised you would hold me, and you did with steady hands. I was broken inside, losing my way, trying to survive another day. But you never let me fall through the darkness, you never turned your face. I was falling apart, calling your name with nothing left to say. But you never let me fall, you were there through it all. If I break again, will you still stay? If I doubt again, will you turn away? In every moment I felt weak, your love was stronger than me. I don't need to be fearless now, I don't need to understand, I just need to feel your presence, holding me where I stand. You called me when my knees gave in, you stayed when I felt undone. You were faithful in the waiting, when I thought the night had won. Even now, I'm learning this truth. I didn't survive, I was carried by you. I was broken inside, but I still stand, not by my strength, but by your hand. You never let me fall through the fire, you never let me go. I was losing hope, losing my ground, but your love held me when I was down. And I'm here today because you never let me fall. If this song feels too close to home, if you're tired of pretending you're okay, please know this: Being broken doesn't mean you're abandoned. It might mean you're being held closer than ever. Stay with this moment. Listen again. Share this with someone who's barely standing. And don't forget, even broken inside, you are not falling.
Didn't notice it all at once. It happened slowly. My prayers got shorter, my hope got quieter, and breathing felt like work instead of life. I kept telling myself I was fine, but inside something sacred was fading. I was still standing, but I was empty of air. And right when I thought I couldn't inhale again, you restored my breath. I walked through days on shallow breathing. Every step felt borrowed thin. Faith was something I remembered, not something I was living in. I kept the words but lost the wonder, kept the form but lost the fire. I believed you once were near me, but now my soul is tired. I thought losing faith was sudden, like a moment, like a fall, but it was drowning slowly in the quiet of it all. I was losing my faith, losing my ground. Every prayer felt hollow, no sound, but you restored my breath in the waiting. When I thought I had nothing left, I was fading inside, barely alive, trying to survive on memories of light. I was losing my faith, and you restored my breath. I smiled through conversations while my chest felt tight with fear. I memorized the language of hope, but couldn't feel you near. I asked myself if this was failure, if I crossed a sacred line. But even when belief was breaking, your love didn't resign. I thought that would make you distant, thought you'd turn away from me, but you stayed inside my questions, patient in the in-between. I was losing my faith, losing my way, counting the cost of another day, but you restored my breath in the silence. When I couldn't speak your name, I was falling apart, gasping for air, reaching for you, though you felt nowhere. I was losing my faith when you restored my breath. Now I see you in the breathing, in the rise and fall of grace, in the way my heart kept beating, even when I lost my pace. You weren't waiting for perfection, you weren't measuring my doubt. You were steady, slow and present, teaching me how to breathe it out. I was losing my faith, losing my sight, trying to remember the light, but you restored my breath through the darkness. You stayed when I felt undone. I was weak, I was worn, I was thin, but you filled my lungs again. I was losing my faith, but you gave me breath. What if faith is just breathing again after holding pain too long? What if trust is letting air in when you swear you're too far gone? You didn't rush me to believe, you didn't shame my doubt. You met me in the shallow breathing and taught my heart how to let it out. Inhale mercy, exhale fear, inhale truth. You are here. I don't need to feel strong now. I don't need to understand. I just need the sacred rhythm of your breath inside my chest. I was losing my faith, but I still stand, not by my strength, but by your hand. You restored my breath when I was empty. You gave me life again. I was fading, very alive, but you breathed hope back inside. I was losing my faith when you restored my breath. If you're listening and breathing feels heavy right now, if faith feels like something you're failing at, please hear this. If you're still breathing, He's not done with you. Stay with this song. Breathe again. Share this with someone who feels empty inside. And remember, even when faith feels lost, your breath can be restored. Was heavy before the words ever came out. I carried things I never learned how to name. Smiles on the outside, weight in my chest. I kept telling myself I was fine, but the silence at night told the truth. I prayed, but some days it felt like my prayers hit the ceiling and fell back down on me. Still I stayed, still I waited, because somewhere deep inside I believed your love was stronger than what was breaking me. With the same thoughts circle my head, questions louder than the faith I said I had. Every step feels fragile, like ice under my feet. Trying to stand tall while I'm barely breathing. I learned how to hide the cracks in my soul, how to truth is, I was drowning in my heart, I was running on empty, pretending I was whole. Then I felt a whisper in the middle of my low. My heart was heavy, but your love was stronger. When I felt weak, you held me longer. I was bending under all the weight I carried, but you never left, you stayed right there with me. My heart was heavy, but your love stood firm. When everything faded, you were still the word. I was losing ground, still you pulled me closer. My heart was heavy, but your love was stronger. Ceiling, asking why you were quiet with me. Every fear lining up like scars in a row. Every failure reminded me of what I don't know. I tried to be brave, tried to stay in control, but I was tired of carrying this on my own. I needed more than strength I could fake. I needed grace in the middle of my break. Right when I thought I was too far gone, I felt your presence say you're not alone. Was heavy, but your love was stronger. You saw my pain and waited longer. I was shaking under truths I buried, but you called my name and the fear didn't carry me. My heart was heavy, but your love remained. When my faith felt weak, you never changed. I was falling fast, still you pulled me closer. My heart was heavy, but your love was stronger. Breaking through the cracks, all the places I was scared to look back. You didn't rush me, you didn't demand, you just stayed right there holding my hand. Every tear became a silent prayer, every broken piece felt seen and cared. I'm still healing, still learning who I am, but I'm standing on grace, not sinking sand. My heart was heavy, but your love was steady. When I couldn't stand, you were ready. I was worn down, barely believing, but you gave me hope worth keeping. My heart was heavy, but your love was true. You didn't need me strong, you just needed me. I was holding on by the thinnest thread, but your love spoke life where I fell dead. Didn't turn away, you saw the mess in me and still you stayed. When I questioned everything I knew, you answered with mercy, not proof. I don't need all the answers tonight, I just need to know I'm still in your sight. If I fall, I know you'll be there. If I break, I know you still care. I'm learning to trust what I can't see, learning that your grace is enough for me. Through the silence, through the pain, your love keeps calling my name. My heart was heavy, but your love was stronger. You carried me when I couldn't go farther. I was lost inside my own doubt, but you spoke peace and pulled me out. My heart was heavy, but your love won the fight. Turn my darkest hours into open light. I'm still standing, still leaning closer. My heart was heavy, but your love was stronger. If this feels like your story, if you're carrying more than you can explain, don't walk away from this moment. Stay, breathe, listen. You don't have to be strong to be held. You don't have to have the answers to be loved. Let this song remind you that you're not alone. If it helps you, listen again. Share who's hurting quietly, and when your heart feels heavy tonight, remember, His love is still stronger.